This week on Hermitcraft.
This week on Empires.
Oh, good.
Pixel Riffs is happy to see his hosts for the day.
The crossover episode has begun.
Pixel Riffs is running through his contraption, trying to pretend like this isn't happening.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap, a show with only slightly better audio balance than that clip, and now 50% more complicated for me specifically. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is LoyXP, captions on this video were provided by Liara, and much like the recipe for a pumpkin pie, this recap comes to you in 3 parts. The downfall of King Ren and the minigame challenge that preceded it, the rift under Grian's base becoming a portal to another part of the Minecraft multiverse, and the hermits who didn't step through it and are now probably playing musical chairs with everyone else's megabases. We'll also add some extra spice to this pie by congratulating the hermits and the Hermitcraft community on raising, at the time of this recording, over $438,000 for Gamers Outreach. While you won't see much of the minigame stream in this recap because there's so much else going on, we want to celebrate what this community is able to do if we unite for a good cause. Well, this week is going to be a lot to unpack, and the van we rented doesn't even fit half of it, so let's take a look at all the events that occurred on the Hermitcraft's, Oh, yeah, this isn't going to be easy, is it? Starting with the Vault Assault, which would have been an awesome name if Tango hadn't already copyrighted these sick rhymes, so this week we're going to call the final installment of our recurring segment Ocean's 11. As his unintentionally final decree, King Ren has summoned all willing subjects to arrive at the Nether Roof and attempt to pregon the impregnable fortress his court has assembled and take the crown's diamond stash over the king's dead body, which seems to be getting more dead even as he stands there, actually.
Mega mini-game event of the century.
Yeah!
Yay!
Oh.
Why are we here? So much excitement down there. It took us like a week to make this thing. Can't we at least get a jump?
For something designed to be a giant safe, the contents turned out to be decidedly more dangerous. And we don't mean the diamonds, those are stashed at the beginning and end of the course in an uncrackable vault designed by BOO. We meant the individual challenge chambers designed by the Royal Court and Grian, but more on that later. Courtly wizard Cubfan135, the author of a minigame named Total Chaos, still manages to pull no punches in his parkour gauntlet. There are slime block jumps over lava, entire battalions of piglins hiding in the walls, and traps that can be triggered by both players and the king's cronies in their observation booth.
And behind you.
But the extra difficulty came in from Jevin, whom Zombie Cleo earlier dare-sticked into throwing the game. That's why through this whole round, Jevin was obligated to trip every single tripwire, trigger every trap, and even undo checkpoints, so more people had to struggle through the parkour over lava.
Just leave the lever extended, please.
Okay. My bad.
Past the first room.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, what a sight.
Why is everybody killing me? No! Sabotage! Sabotage!
Even the safety corridors between chambers came with an unexpected challenge, so when the crew of adventurers finally fling themselves correctly through the platforming segments and tap in at the respawn anchor, BOO has stationed himself as the guard who will attempt to stop them from, oh look, they've already killed him.
That you may not proceed forth until you defeat me. And I shall take thy all down. You shall all meet my blade.
Is that it?
The next trial is the brainchild of Zombie Cleo, and she clearly has been around children since it's essentially a red light, green light game. Executed through a room with a lava pit and only obsidian pillars over it, in which she and Joe Hills drop TNT at people that dare to hop over. Less of a Squid Game, more of a Frogger from hell.
No, it's not fair. No.
Okay, you go first, okay?
Grey lights.
Great.
You said gray.
Grey. Did you move, Gem? Are you moving on a grey light?
You never said red light.
Gem seems to be moving on a grey light.
The game is green light, red.
No.
Makeup color.
One more confrontation with BOO awaits on the other side, but this time he has the high ground, but not the numbers, and is promptly swarmed.
To the next. You shall not pass. Not today. I will. Yes. I survive.
Go boss.
They fight each other for me. Hey, don't go through.
There we go.
Thank you,
Jen. Oh, you got his...
His skull, for the record, is later proudly displayed in Gemini Tay's murder dungeon under her castle. Gotta be a rare, if not a legendary.
Oh, yeah. That's the one. That's the one. Oh, my head collection is perfect. I didn't have a beat-up set either.
Good Times with Scar also tries to stop them with his body, but in an entirely different way.
Scar, put a shirt on.
Oh, come on. Put some clothes on.
Don't need to see that.
Thankfully, he was also shooting at them the entire time as the gang tried to make their way through his bribe parkour course. Naturally, all the checkpoints were swiftly bought out since no one wanted to endure the experience any longer. But that's when the rebellion discovers they have been double-crossed. No, nothing happens to Ijevin, but Grian has to come clean about him being the architect of the next room.
What's happening?
Grian, you better not double-cross us.
Oh,
He already has double crosses at this point.
welcome to Grian's optional room of victory. Yay! Yay! Me and some
Yay!
Because it simply wouldn't work if he didn't. Someone had to stand at the head of the contraption and challenge the crowd to a riddle game. Those who guess wrong would be melted. Those who guess right only melt their brain.
And the answer, of course, was 2-1. I can't believe you didn't know what 2 minus 1 is.
Ultimately, the One Ring left with False Symmetry, Etho, and Gemini Tay, but the whole group got to dress up in diamond on their behalf just in time to face off with the king himself. And it's a good thing too, because they were getting their butts handed to them without it, and now it's boss rush time. One by one, Ren sends the royal court in to fight the diamond-clad hermits to the death, mostly, as it turns out, their death. Finally, with no more henchmen to yeet at the mob, Ren and BOO take to the floor armed with the golden apples people have been sending in as royal tribute. But it isn't enough, and XB Crafted strikes the final blow on B-dubs, while Impulse SV, fittingly, as the guy who was prompted to start a revolution, strikes the king's head from his shoulders.
No! My kingdom is falling before me! No!
You guys are all attacking each other! The king is down!
Kill my impulse!
I'm crying, that was just such a mess.
At which point, the hermits discover they've been wearing more diamonds than are still left in the royal vault, because after cracking the safe and storming the room, the winning combatants discover the king's entire stash of diamonds is just gone. And while we and the hermits are left to ponder exactly who took their collective money, truth is that they gained something even more valuable that day. They got their friend Rendog back, after they threw some of Doc M's perimeter-grown tomatoes at him.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just gonna hang here forever, okay? I'm done with being a king. I'm done with Hermitcraft. I'm done, guys.
No.
I'm done.
No! Get out of here, come on.
Don't make me feel
Where's my
bad for you.
diamonds?
We love
Okay.
Ren
Come on
Dog.
now, you
The
can come out.
only,
No
the
worries.
only thing I say is you gotta go back to
You're
being
forgiven.
Ren the dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I need more
Ren the
I
king.
will
dog
go
in my
back.
life,
Can I keep the
so-
diamond glasses, though?
I guess.
I guess.
Depends, are they made out of our diamonds?
Well, some people got treasure out of it after all. Doc M walked away with the king's own sword and shield, and Pearlescent Moon bagged herself the full set of his netherite armor, which she promptly puts on display in her trash shop in perhaps the most concise political statement we've heard all season. She doubles down by disguising herself as an armor stand to spring out at Vintage Beef, who just wanted her to boop some buttons in the name of expanding his card game roster by 1.
I'm an armor stand.
I see you.
Hello.
I see you hiding in the mumbo suit.
No,
That's my mumbo
I'm
suit.
alive. Ah, scary armor stand.
Pearl, of course, turns the card upside down, at which point we should let you know that drawing the moon reversed indicates that you've been dealing with illusion, fears, and anxiety, and now the negative influences of these energies are subsiding, which sounds like a pretty accurate reading for the Hermitcraft server in general. Beef will have plenty of time to work on the game uninterrupted for the next little while, and now he has a specialized data pack which allows him to add formatting and flavor text to each of the cards, but he might have to set up his own wormhole to summon the remaining hermits over and roll their stats.
There's so far only 2 ultra rare. There might be another one. You know what? Maybe I'll make myself an ultra rare. Huh? I have been working on this thing for, I don't know, a year. When did the server open?
When last we saw Etho, he was similarly embroiled in developing a minigame and receiving crate drops aplenty from Ijevin and Keralis to help with finishing off Battlebane in time for the charity stream, which we now know went super well, so once again, mad props to everyone involved.
Also, Corrales today, he's like, Etho, you want some gunpowder? And I always want some gunpowder. I also got 2 boxes of gunpowder from Doc today, so today's a really good day, actually. Things are going my way.
Although with Doc M and Good Times with Scar now absent from the server, we've got to wonder if Doc M's whole arena was just a long con ploy to kill Etho in the most spectacularly technical way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked.
And last we've seen Scar, he was not too bothered, more preoccupied with equipping his Wonder Park with custom-modelled merch than his own safety. Otherwise he wouldn't be recruiting an evoker as a fortune teller, you know?
Yeah, this was a really unscar-safe maneuver I've made here, but we're gonna have to live with the consequences of this for a bit.
There are jelly ear hats, branded ice cream, and even edible 3D popcorn, just to make your stay at the park that much more memorable. Just maybe don't book the hotel, it's actually Scar's storage system. But rest assured, the server gained a big heaping of fresh dead man when False Symmetry decided to decorate Spawn for Halloween and turned Rendog's statue into what Mythical Sausage looks like about now.
Oh yeah. Yes, Ren. My favorite might be the levers on his forehead.
And if you're wondering who Mythical Sausage is, allow us to introduce the Rift stuff. So what's with the Hermitcraft Rift? Well, according to Grumbot, they don't actually know. And according to the Rift itself, its Toy Micah Jam is nifty because that's exactly what came out of the thing when Grian sent in a note saying, "Who dis?" Further prodding only convinced Grumbot to spit out a lodestone compass for each hermit, inviting them to enter the Rift at a certain time the same day, which is clearly robot speak for "fine then, you do it." And do it they did. 13 hermits arrive and enter the dimensional portal, which for once doesn't crash the server, and instead sends them right through to arrive somewhere exciting, new, and on its second season. This is when Jevin, Keralis, Tango, Grian, Impulse, False Symmetry, Joe Hills, Docem, Azuma, Cleo, Scar, Pearl, and Cubfan officially cross over into the Empire's SMP.
Oh, you're lucky you found me because people usually die in there. It is very dangerous and the fog eats souls.
At this point, we feel it's probably necessary to set some ground rules. This show is the Hermitcraft recap. We give you a roundup of Hermitcraft videos, and lest you think they've somehow abandoned Hermitcraft entirely, these are still Hermitcraft episodes, despite them being temporarily marooned on a different server. So we will be recapping those, with perhaps a little bit of extra context where it's needed, but this whole crossover event will be covered from the Hermit's perspective. We aren't about to start recapping the 13 members of Empire's SMP as well, although we might come out with a midweek episode getting you up to date on what the heck an Empire's SMP is, for those of you who are still confused.
Me llamo Keralis.
Ay, buenos dias.
Can I get a translator, please?
It's okay. I'll translate.
Do you guys have a Spanish to English dictionary I could borrow?
As the Hermits cross over, they've barely taken a few steps into their new surroundings before the Rift hiccups one last time and flings them all to random coordinates around the server to fend for themselves. Some introductions were warmer than others. Keralis and Jevin were greeted by Mythical Sausage, who has his own villa and, as they say, mi casa es su casa.
Oh, sausage! Dude, this place is incredible. Hey, they stare into your soul.
It's drawing me in.
Are you guys gonna kiss?
Nothing but my eyes.
Oh, you! Oh, this is a good custom we do here in Sanctuary. We kiss
I am staying away from y'all. You better get
Come
away.
over here,
Nope.
Jeff.
Nope.
Kissy.
Nope.
Okay.
The two play charity cases and rob Sausage blind through his own hospitality. What Bubbles the dog and her humble servants don't provide, the tourists are gifted at the pirate empire of Joey Graceffa. Though it's not where Keralis earns his final piece of equipment, that would be the Empire's ancient capital, and this is where this gets even more confusing.
Sir Pixelot. First question. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Do you know what YouTube is?
I've heard of it. Might have heard of it. You see, I also play on Empire's SMP. Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I ended up in this situation. As someone whose whole deal is preserving the world's history and rebuilding an empire from the past, I naturally spend half my time breeding rideable dodos. It's love at first sight for Keralis, and after a quick tour on Dodoback and promising not to go all Ark Survival Evolved on the flock, he agrees to exchange the dodo for the service of building a farmhouse out by the Froglight trees.
Okay, Pixel, thank you for the tour. I will be back to build a little farmhouse, and... Am I going the right way?
The wrong way! This way.
Okay, this way! See you, Pixel!
He wouldn't even be the only hermit that stopped by the museum.
This week on Empires.
Yes, that happened, but also Doc M is here.
Are we doing a Hermitcraft recap? What's going on? I'm confused.
Yeah. After being flung into the wilderness not too far from spawn, Doc gets his bearings from riding across the bridge which spans the central lake, picking up free stuff from various statues and kiosks as he goes. Eventually, he stumbles across a rideable boar, which he pilots straight into the ancient capital, and after a quick tour of my storage system, out the other side in the direction of LD Shadow Lady's Critter City.
Why do you have walking foxes?
What do you mean? They can do anything that a human can do.
Wow.
You'd expect a town full of foxes and frogs who walk on their hind legs would be paradise for someone who self-identifies as a goat, and well, you'd be right. But Doc still does the decent thing and returns the boar to its goblin masters, swaps it for a horse, and returns to the rift to investigate further.
Have you seen a pig around here?
No.
Nope, no pig? Not a big old pig sitting right here.
Maybe.
Luckily, Redstoners turn out to be a pretty hot commodity across the server. Tango Tech, being one, had no issues finding employment in the Goblin Kingdom of Fwip. He also found a Snufkin hat in the witch swamps of Shubble, but that's beside the point. Impressed by the local power swine mounts and the cabling architecture, Tango is more than happy to stay and assume the role of an engineer on the Mountain King's service.
I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the best place I've seen so far, and I've seen some good things today.
I mean, don't mean to be brushing my shoulders off over here. Just some dust from the cave, I swear.
Still, somehow the underground turned out to not be the shadiest place to work. Zombie Cleo and Azuma Void, for example, decided to become pirates.
Poor and hungry, and we throw ourselves upon the mercy of a pirate captain.
Captain? Well, it just so happens I'm in need of some crewmates.
Impressed by Joey Graceffa's empire, the two were eager to accept him as their captain, but Joey was not too convinced. For them to truly become pirates, it's only fair they return with a parrot each, which they do by a very loose standard. Knives are knives, meat's meat.
We can have a fat parrot.
Fat parrot.
This is a fat parrot.
Fat parrot.
You're my fat parrot.
That's genius.
Joe Hills gets his chicken for free, but he has a different challenge, dealing with a bard who seems to talk in riddles. Although, to be fair, Joe gives as good as he gets.
You probably came for the festival, didn't you? You've just missed it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
What's your empire called?
Well, I came from Grian's base, but it's not really mine.
Heading for the nearby town, the pair of them run into Pearlescent Moon, who's being given a tour by Scott's Major, and the tour group expands when they visit the Sky Kingdom of Stratos and run into Grian, Scar, and Cub. Slightly overwhelmed, Joe retreats to his hotel room in Chromia and settles in to make sure crafting still works the same in this weird place.
Sometimes you don't want to stick around after dark. Maybe this is one of those things where it looks fine by the light of day, but, you know, the criminal overlords or underlords or whatever all roll out at night, so...
Even weirder places are just over the horizon with Impulse SV, who stumbles into Critter City Animalia and drinks the first bucket of milk he's given. Although it's probably a good thing he didn't ask where it was from.
This is perfectly normal.
Okay. I feel better.
Do you feel better?
I feel better. This is normal.
The Rift has shaved off his dwarven beard, but he still feels more at home in the Goblin Caverns, especially when he's handed a set of diamond gear and agrees to steal gold from Fwip's neighbors.
Does that mean we're in an alliance?
I mean, I'm always down for more allies.
One thing leads to another, and he ends up in the company of the other hermits, meets a princess with an enormous axe.
Oh!
I'm a monster slayer.
That's
awesome!
Oh, that makes me miss my axe.
And this is my bow. It's very cool.
Whoa. And eventually settles down in a spot where the hermits can plant their flag and draw in the stragglers. Meanwhile, Grian just uses this as an opportunity to visit all his friends from the Last Life series. He borrows Orion Sound's magic flying loot, stops by Jimmy's real sheriff town, but ultimately settles on the same place Impulse SV does, on a hill overlooking the rift that started this entire ordeal. And you might want to overlook it, just in case, because right after the hermits have entered, it closes on the Empire's side, and as we see at the end of Grian's own episode, the Hermitcraft rift is closed too. And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixelriffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. In this week's End Screen Theatre, you'll find a spooky double bill in which Sloy embraces the spirit of the season and plays 2 Minecraft horror maps. And I'm fine plugging his videos because I'm literally in this recap now. Happy Halloween! Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.